needs a master, you know, like I need somebody to control it. Okay. When I visited recently China, you know, first we were engaged in this, it's very personal, simple experience, in this, you know, totally boring multicultural politeness. It's, oh, how interested, you know, trying to, what you are saying, trying to establish some links. Then two groups of Chinese started to fight each other ferociously about how to reach some Acadian points and so on. And okay, to make a slight almost racist remark, I had a wonderful experience where one of the participants attacked me that I underestimate the role of transcendent realism in Lacan. Now, I didn't quite get it, what this would mean, no? I thought transcendent realism, like reality exists and is transcendent to our senses, like some kind of primitive learning from materialism and empirical criticism, materialism or what, no? And then I got it, and that was the beauty. This was the clumsy retranslation back into English of surrealism. They translated sur, transcendent, he simply meant in young Lacan, reference to Dali, all those guys were crucial. No. But, okay, that's another question that I thought this... what I'm saying is that then there was a clash between two groups of Chinese, and at that point I became identified, you know. I immediately joined one gang, and then it is very mysteriously how even all these problems, oh, sorry, do I understand you correctly, and so on, literally disappeared. I believe in universality. But not in this universality above conflicts, you know, like what are our vain struggles if you look from the proper discussion, whatever. No, universality is universality of a fight. That's for me the only universality to be reasserted. This is the way above this extremely boring, politically correct debates. How do we know that when I debate with the others that I'm not imposing when I talk about freedom, my notion of freedom of them, that I'm not a secret Western imperialist? Well, if we fight the enemy, all this common enemy, all these problems disappear. I think political struggle is a form of actual universality.
Thank you. We've still got time to squeeze a couple more in, I'm sure.
One of the points of your last book was that to rehabilitate...
There are too many. Which one? Lost Causes?
Yeah, Lost Causes.
Sorry, yes.
To rehabilitate the kind of leftist political ideology you were talking about, that one of the crucial things that needed to happen was to analyse Stalinism and the authoritarian tendencies in that form of leftist politics that hadn't been dealt with by the left but had been extremely well critiqued by the right. I just wondered when you're going to get around to writing a book on that.
You know what? I would love to, but let me make... I'm sorry. Let me make a point clear. I'm even embarrassed to answer to you precisely because I love your question back. You know what happens to me all the time when I write about Stalinism? People all tell me, can't you get rid over these boring East European dramas and so on, like as if nobody cares about it. But again, let me quickly repeat, not to provoke, quickly repeat my general position. First, all those who think that I'm kind of playing some kind of a obscene game of secretly rehabilitating Stalin or whatever, I'm sorry to disappoint them. They are wrong, no? What intrigues me, the only point on which I do insist is that there was an authentic moment in October Revolution, which makes the whole situation, if anything, even more tragic. Because what I want to emphasize is how, what I want to, a point I repeat in many of my last books. For example, isn't this a mystery for me, a kind of a philosophical detective mystery? Why almost total silence in Frankfurt School about Stalinism? And no, I did my homework, don't counterattack. I know there is Soviet Marxism by Marcuse, there is this Naumann Behemoth, no? Already in the late 30s, I think, and then there are some of dissident uses of Habermas in some Eastern countries, like Habermas, this civil society, blah, 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 to apply it against totalitarianism. But what Neumann does in Behemoth is simply a version of that fashionable theory that all big systems of the day, fascism, communism, New Deal, United States, are approaching the same totalitarian system and so on and so on. So this is not truly an analysis. Marcuse's book is it's a short book, it's the weirdest book I've ever read. It's so strange, it's basically the analysis of Khrushchev's 20th Congress speech. Yeah, right. No, all I want to say is that this is an enigma, and my sincere wager here, as you maybe know with your kind question, is that only the left can effectively do it. For example, when I read, I have no problems, as you notice, of reading enemies. When I read, for example, Robert Conquest, I think his best book is nonetheless that, The Harvest of Sorrow, about Ukraine. You learn a lot, but there is something too naive in the theoretical explanation, in the sense of he simply makes Stalinists, how to put it, basically people who are the same liberal type but really evil. Something is missing there, and the same goes, maybe you know I developed this for the film, did you see, I'm very short, but this is I think a nice one. The film, did you see, you all did, so I can make it without boring you with telling the story, make an example. Did you see Life of Life Living the Other?
Life of Others.
Life of Others, yes. You know what shocked me in that movie? It tries to be ferociously anti-communist. I even know why. The guy is from East Prussia, his estate from a noble family was taken, so that was his revenge. I claim this as a leftist. The film is way too soft. He didn't get it. You know what's the story? Some corrupted minister wants to screw the writer's beautiful wife, so he asks the agents to organize, to listen, to totally watch over him, to find something, even to plan, so that he will be arrested, he will get the woman, and so on and so on. But you know what's my point? Wait a minute. A thing like this can happen also in any capitalist country. A corrupted operative can do it. What was specific of East Germany was that the writer, like the one presented in the film, you know, international great figure and so on, sorry, he would have been totally under constant observation by at least 10 agents all the time, even if there were to be no minister who wants to screw your wife. I mean, you get the point. Horror which was systemic, even if the old guys were the same, how to put it, relatively decent Stasi agents as the hero of the film who turns around. Without, this is what you then get it from the film, that it was in the system. Without that horny minister, exactly the same effect. And this makes the film for me really dark. It's another version of Casablanca. I haven't seen such an anti-feminist film. The story is, you know the story, what? It is, we have to sacrifice the woman, and then it's the beginning of a beautiful friendship. My God, are we aware what we swallowed in that film? No? So you get, just briefly back to Frankfurt School. Look, what's the big achievement of Frankfurt School? Dialectic of enlightenment, which means horrible phenomena of the 20th century are not simply a result of some remainders of the dark mythic past. They are results of the, how to put it, inherent antagonisms, contradictions in the very project of enlightenment. Isn't your, at least it's mine, first association, if you want the pure example of dialectic of enlightenment, it's Stalinism much more than fascism. With fascism, it's relatively clear. It's conservative revolution, this regression, blah, blah. But Stalinism is the true enigma, where we have a movement, not like Nazism saying we need old hierarchy and so on, a movement of radical equality freedom, which generated a horror in some sense, maybe we can say at the level of physical suffering, even worse than Nazism. How was this possible? How is it that, for example, this would have been, and I'm saying this as a leftist, my God, this would have been one of my main reproaches to Habermas. Read him. You have there a German philosopher writing the last 50 years. If you read his books, would you ever have guessed that there are two German states? That there is another. Why this avoidance? The only answer that I got from